I'll begin this morning with a warning. My topic is grief, not grief and gratitude, not grief and hope, not grief and anything, just grief. Within the limits of what I'm able to see and say from my position of privilege, I'm going to try briefly to give voice to our grief. If talk about racially motivated police violence or suicide is going to be harmful for you this morning, please take care of yourself by turning down the sound for just a few minutes. The text that has guided my thinking for this morning is the 74th Psalm, a communal lament about the destruction of Jerusalem, penned from exile in Babylon. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. We begin with a poet in exile, sitting in tortured meditation. Her body is in Babylon, of course it is, carried there against her will, along with all the rest, all those years ago. But in moments of solitude, her thoughts are her own. Her body is captive, but her heart, at least, is free to roam. It flees. It flies across all those miles of wilderness like a migrating bird that somehow knows the way in its DNA, knows the way back to where it began. Her heart knows the way back to Zion. Over vast sand and waterless wadi, she wings her way. She returns west, descending through memory and cloud to look down upon the Temple Mount. It is a painful descent, for each wing beat draws her heart closer to that place of loss. She sees it all again in her mind's eye. The emblems of the invading army arrayed before the temple entrance. Its beautiful wooden trellis hacked to splintered bits. Its lovingly crafted carved work crushed by hammer, split by axe. It was a building, but more than a building. It was their life, their love and devotion shaped in stone, metal, and wood. It was their history, their hope, the architecture of their identity, given expression through the skill of their hands, the sacrifice of their economy. And it was ruined, burned, desecrated, mocked, destroyed. And in the midst of it all, in the despair and grief of this return to the site of Israel's ruin, she has one desire, not a hope, for there is no longer any prophet, not an expectation, for there is no one among them who knows how long they must wait. It is not a longing for rescue or a cry for vindication, for such things belong to another time. Her desire is simply to be seen. She longs for God to look upon their despair and feel what they feel. Oh God, why do you cast us off forever? Remember us. Remember Zion. Direct your steps to the perpetual ruins. Walk amongst our shattered hopes. Prod our grief with your toe. See us broken and ruined. Be among the destruction you allowed. Let our despair settle upon you like dust. I don't know about you, but I feel like this grief is playing the long game with us. All those years ago in March, as I set up a room in my house for lecturing via Zoom, I remember thinking that this could be a really long spring. That thought seems almost adorable to me now, like the thought of a child, because this grief waits us out. It outlasts all our theodicies and positive thinking strategies. It grinds us down on the mill of time and leaves us grist, a gristle of our former selves. the long grief, the perpetual ruins. If we were to beg God to direct her steps to our perpetual ruins, I don't know where I would tell her to go first. There are so many places she needs to see. Where to begin? God, stumble through Breonna Taylor's apartment in the dark. Step on the shell casings, so many. Smell the smoke and the fear, and wait for someone to turn on the lights at last. Turn on the lights to show clearly what we have become, what we surely were all along. Direct your steps to the perpetual ruins. God, watch our democracy come unhinged, unmoored, unmasked. Move as only you can among the algorithms on the social networks. Feel the cold equations as they do the inhuman math that calculates the value of our attention. Pay attention as the capitalists release the machines like hounds, tearing through the digital detritus of our 8 billion lives to arrive at an answer that only a billionaire could love. The discovery that we are worth more to the advertisers when we are divided, hating, lusting, marinating in fake news, grievance, and distrust. Direct your steps to the perpetual ruins. God, put on your mask and walk the urine-scented hallways of the nursing facility where she will die alone. Gasping for breath, stolen by a virus that spread through the air, sure, but mostly through the incompetence of our government and the indifference of our neighbors. And let's face it, through the simple fact that we are frail and can be felled by something too small to see and too inert to know or care whether we live or die. Direct your steps to the perpetual ruins. God, ride in the patrol car they sent to my cousin's tiny house in remote New Mexico. Isolated by pandemic, job loss to economic shutdown, a history of depression, walk up the cracked cement steps and knock to no answer. Find him there in the drab bedroom. Take the gun from his lifeless hand. Direct your steps to the perpetual ruins. Look upon our ruin, God. There is no prophet among us. We do not know how long. But God, please, please see us. See us and do not leave us alone.